So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, we are so honoured to have this guest because The Expanse is one of my favourite shows, but not only that, she's been in The House of Sand and Fog, 24, and even the voice of Goza in the latest Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's Shohreh Aghdashloo. Shohreh, welcome to the show. And did I say your surname right?
You did an amazing job. Absolutely. Thank you so much. The honor is mine. Brian, thank you for having me. It's such an amazing show that I would love to talk about it for the rest of my life and wear it as a badge of honor.
Oh, bless you. And do you know what? I've got to say, I mean, what's it like doing all these interviews for the very last time, I suppose, for the last season?
Honestly, it's a bit bittersweet. Sweet because all of us actors, we give an arm and a leg to talk to highly educated, intellectual reporters like yourself. This is a great part of our job that we all embrace with happiness. That's why we're so happy to get to talk to you and to our other friends. But uh, thinking that this is the last time we're doing it, it makes it a bit bitter. But uh, I've learned throughout the last decades that I have lived that when one chapter closes up, the other one opens up. So the other chapter opens up. So that's how I look at it. But we all are going to miss it so much for the rest of our lives. Yeah.
And you know what? Never say never. Obviously, I don't want to ruin it because I've seen the finale twice now. I had to watch it twice. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So I promise I won't get into too many details about the finale. But before we talk about the show, I just wanted to find out the last 2 years has been quite difficult for us all. How have you kept positive over the last 2 years with all this pandemic? And how have you kept moving forwards?
It's interesting, Brian. When it all started, I thought, this is it. I'm gonna have to find a way to still be functional and useful and achieve whatever I can during the day. It started with cleaning up the house first because I wasn't working, and I discovered the stuff that I had not seen for 30 years. Uh, then I started going inside myself. I'm not an introvert person by any means, but I started to dig in, and now that I have enough time on my hands, see what I'm doing, where I am, have I done the right thing or not? And it started with that, and all of a sudden I received uh, the offer to portray Avasarala again in season 6 under lockdown, under curfew, which I embraced the idea happily right after I received the message that, hey, sorry, we're going to do it no matter what. We have the power to do it. We can do it. We cannot all be in the same room. Maybe one day you would have to come in and read for your role so your colleague on camera can get to play his role. And that's what we did throughout. It usually took like 4.5 months to finish, but this time it took 5.5 months because of the reasons that our hands were tied. We couldn't do, we couldn't all be in the same room. We couldn't go out. We couldn't refresh, really. And we were all, it was from home to work, work to home. Loneliness was hard, a bit hard, but knowing that we were going to work the day after saved me, saved all of us. We were so happy to be.
So my next question, Shohreh, is going back 7 years. What actually attracted you to the role of Avasarala? Because she is a feisty character.
It's really interesting, Brian. I didn't have time to read the script. I had met with the curators of the show, Huck Ostby and Mark Ferguson, and in Palm Springs Film Festival. They're amazing writers. I love their penmanship. They've done Iron Man and Children of Man. So we were 3 days we were together, and they kept saying that, sure, we need to work with you. If any good material comes around, we will call you, and we would love to work with you. We kept saying this for a couple of years. And all of a sudden, Hawk Ostby called me from Yellowstone and told me that I'm here with my family, first vacation after years, but Mark is at NBC, and we have this TV series, and our only condition for this is that you play Avasarala, and they're asking us if we have your consent. Do you mind giving us your consent in 5 minutes? I tell you what the story is about. And I said, I trust you so much. I believe in you so much. Yes, go ahead, tell me about the story. He told me the story and about the character, and I said, I'm on, Hawk. I'm on. Send me anything that you want me to sign. And he said, I never forget this. He said, Shohreh, you are not going to regret this. I promise you.
Oh, that is fantastic. And then you
Hmm.
get the role. And how did you approach the role, from an actor's point of view to get into the character of Avasarala?
Brian, in real life, us actors obviously are inspired by whoever the heroes or the villains out there. Our first approach is earthly. We're trying to find someone who would resemble our character and try to, learn a few things here and there. When I started, all I had in mind, obviously, were Margaret Thatcher, whom I'm a fan of, and I know the reservations against her and stuff, but I adore her still as one of the most strongest women that I have seen on this face of the earth. And it was Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Benazir Bhutto, Indira Gandhi, all these women who tried to change the course of the history for the good of humanity and especially women. And that is how I started.
And you definitely portrayed a very strong lady in The Expanse. And your character's story arc over the 6 seasons has been so complex, from being a suppressor of the belters, from torturing one of them, to now wanting to save them. I mean, what do you think is Avasarala's biggest lesson learnt over the last 6 seasons?
The biggest lesson, I would say, um, to become more sort of understanding of the people, of her people. And I think it's that journey that turns her into a people's sort of politician, and not a shrewd politician who's there to win. And this doesn't happen overnight. This needs time. When we get to know her, she has already lost her son to a nasty war with the Martian separatists, and she's mourning over that loss. But still, it hasn't hit her that badly that makes her to get out of her place, her 24,000 square foot mansion, get in the middle of the people, try to understand what they need for you to do for them. In other words, in every democracy, the leader is chosen by the people. The leader is of the people, chosen by the people, and works for the people. And not until then she would be able to connect to the people out there, if she wants to still stay in her own world and just keep ordering stuff. Not
Mm.
on the not until she has a foot underground she would understand and feel for people, and she start doing it because she's a smart woman. Obviously, at the beginning she's a bit spoiled because of her upbringing, but gradually and slowly she starts to learn and
Mm.
act accordingly.
I mean, she's definitely a smart lady, and she's very smartly dressed, I've got to say. The outfits in the show are just absolutely incredible. And I think it's Joanne that does your outfits. What I wanted to know was, do you have a say in what you wear as your character? And did you keep any of the outfits after filming?
Yes, but I picked two of them. I loved all of them, but those that were very sort of precious to me was the first one was obviously the very first sari I wore. when my character goes to torture the belt, and the other one is the outfit that I wore for the Martian dinner, which I love and adore, and that they have worked on it. Joanne has worked on it a lot. I only had a little bit of saying on you know these making these or preparing these outfits. Joanne Henson, although she is one of the best designers, costume designers in the world, and she's what she does is really grand. But on the contrary, she's so humble. It's unbelievable. She's she makes these amazing costumes, and then when we look at them in awe, she goes, "Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing." She's so humble. So every time she made a outfit for me, I would come in. She would call me. I would come in, and I would look at the outfit, and I would go, "Wow, my God! I never thought that you could top the other one that I wore before, but this is amazing." And she would politely say that, "Is there anything you would like me to add to it? If you don't like it, we can just take another route and make another costume. But if there is anything that you would like, any changes," and maybe only once or twice. And the only changes that I made was regarding the colors, not the uh, shape of the outfits. I love them all.
Mm.
But for example, there's an assassination scene in season 1 or 2, I believe, and she had made an amazing royal blue costume for me with gold on it, and I just loved it because it was grandeur and it was the blue was beautiful. It was that amazing magenta kind of blue. And I just loved it. I was adoring it. And she said, "Anything I can add? Or if you want to," I said, "Yes, could you kindly add a little bit of red to the dress?" The reason I was doing this is because I'm a fan of Hitchcock. And
Okay.
Hitchcock is one of the directors who knows how to use colors in his film.
Mm.
And he does that purposefully. Every time there's some dangerous moment coming up or the dangerous person at home, we see red, a little bit of red in in the scenes of his films. His use of color is amazing, and I love the fact that he uses red for hazardous scenes. And that's what I suggested, and she said it's a great idea. So she added some red velvet to my necklace and cuffs, and you could see. And obviously, at the time of the assassination, they worked so well because I purposefully put my hand next to my eyes so you could see the red, on my eyes, thinking that I'm crying, blood. But also, the other one that took us 7 days, the whole full week, to make a decision about the color was my nightgown in the bed. Right when Avasarala is giving, thinking about either we should go to war or we shouldn't. The colors that I was supposed to choose one from were purple, pink, and beige, sort of satin beige. They were all satin though. And every single night I'm thinking, pink is too suggestive. Women wear pink, nightgown when something is
Mm.
about to happen. Uh, Purple is a bit, it's afterwards. Beige is neutral. At this moment, Abasarala is thinking neutral. She's not thinking going to war. She's thinking how to stop this. So let's take a neutral position on this. And we went with the beige nightgown.
See, and I've learnt now the different colours and what they mean, which is great. So you've kept two of the dresses, that two of the outfits. It would be really nice to see an exhibition somewhere with all the costumes and all the outfits, because I just think that the detail and the work that's gone into this show is phenomenal. It really, really is. So fingers crossed we'll get an exhibition very, very soon. So I want to explore your relationship with Bobby, because I've got to say, it's just been an absolute roller coaster, and it's been quite nice to see it flourish and to change. I mean, how would you describe your relationship with Bobby?
I would definitely say that Avasarala, the feelings that Avasarala has for Bobby is, first up, Avasarala sees something in Bobby that reminds her of her own self when she was the same age. She sees that courage, that perseverance in Bobby that she's had at the same age. And the feelings, another layer to this is like her daughters are not close by. Her daughters are living their own life. So Bobby could be taken as for, for her own daughter, the daughter that she wished she had, because her
Mm,
daughters are living a semi-normal life. They're not interested in politics. It was only her son that got killed. The daughters are not interested in politics, and
mm,
somewhat she's a bit upset about that because they have disappointed her. She was hoping that
mm,
they would take after her, but now Bobby from outer space comes to her life that reminds her of herself, that could have been her daughter, and is doing a great job. And let's not forget that she's trying to recruit as many young people as she can because she believes in their energy.
mm. I mean, I've got to say, the thing I've observed the most is that Avasarala has got issues with trust with everyone around her. Would you say that Bobby would be the one that she trusts the most, or is it a case of she still really doesn't trust anyone?
It's really interesting you referred to the issue trust, because
Mm,
especially season 6, when the characters get to talk to each other, their confrontations, they're all about trust, trust, trust. Trust me at this very last moment,
mm,
Manika says, like trying to tell Avasarala, trust me, I understand what I'm saying. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you, that has to change, this whatever methods that you've been using before. It's every single scene when I kept watching them or reading them, I felt like, oh, the issue is coming up again. This is the last moment when we need to trust one another. And you're
definitely.
absolutely right. But Bobby has a hard time to trust because
Mm,
the way Martians have been raised is not to trust anyone.
mm,
Do your job, get lost, die if necessary, or come home. But don't
mm.
trust anyone. This is how they have been,
Uh,
yeah, raised and thought. And that's why Bobby has a hard time. And Abbas, on the other hand, Abbasola has a hard time also to trust her
mm,
because she's been around for decades. She's seen people betraying her, lots of
mm.
Brutuses in her life. So it's not easy to trust a young woman who just walked into her life. But she's trying
So,
to do her best. She loves
yeah,
Bobby.
yeah. I mean, but that relationship though is absolutely lovely to see, and who knows, in the future we might see more. Fingers crossed. So my two favorite scenes so far is the scene when you shake your hand with Drummer at the end of episode 5. And then my most favourite scene is when Holden is making his speech and you're stood at the side and you're saying something, and it
Don't
just
you
makes,
dare to do it.
yeah,
Don't you
it
dare
just,
to do it.
it makes me chuckle. It really, really does. And the second time, I was like showing my wife because I was like, look, this is hilarious because you could see the in your face. You didn't have to do anything. You could just see in your face and then the words coming out of your mouth. But the question is, have you got a favourite scene or a favourite part of the show that you've done that will always stay with you?
There are so many moments, but there is one that I cannot top with any other ones. The one that with Aaron Wright, Secretary General of the United Nations, when I find out that he is betraying us, and I start scolding him, shouting at him, telling him that it's because of us, poor public servants, that are looking for some private sectors
Mm,
help at the end of the day. That's why. That's how a system goes rotten.
mm,
And I still love that line because that line is epic. This is what has been happening from the beginning till now. And I'm so, as a person, I'm so bewildered as to why we cannot do something about it to
Mm.
cut hands that are not decent, that are just working for themselves. But
Mm.
like private sectors, looking up for some private sectors help at the end of the day.
Um, the show itself mirrors a lot of what's going on in the world right now. It's really crazy how it does. What lesson do you think the show gives us as viewers in the way of the world?
Brian, when we started, we were told that the story takes place within a couple of hundred years from now. It was 200 years, but then they said they don't want to give out exact dates, a couple of hundred years from now. And we were all, yes, we understand that. It's episode 3, 4. It looked like a couple of decades from now. Episode 5, 6, my God, I'm reading the script. Every time I'm reading my script, I have to have the TV on. But obviously, I turn the sound off. And I just, time to time, I take a look at the TV, see what's happening. And I'm reading about Avasarala's debate with Gao, and and all of a sudden, with the corner of my eye, I see Nancy Pelosi wearing a beautiful Max Mara red coat, saddle length, with a pair of dark glasses, coming out, bob card, and I'm thinking, of course, she's trying to look younger and more energetic because she's now going to debate with these young people, and she wants to prove to them that she not only knows far more than them, she's not only far more educated than them, but also she's got experiences that they don't. They may have great ideas. Let's do it together. Young and old, let's get together and protect our country. And all of a
Mm.
sudden, I'm looking at Nancy Pelosi, almost running the same lines, and I am supposed to run in the Expanse. And I'm like, oh my God, this is today. But
Mm.
what we can learn from it is it's really interesting. This show, as you know, has received amazing, tons of great reviews. But
Mm.
my favorite one comes from a real scientist. The scientist says in 2.5 pages, he proves to you as to why, if we're not careful today, if we're going to pollute our air and throw trash into our oceans, this is what we get in the future. If we're not mindful today, even today may be too late. But if we don't start today, this is what we're going to get for future. Is this what we want for the children of our children? Is this what we want for humanity to go
Mm.
on under? Or do we wish a healthy, happy, safe environment for our next generations to come?
Definitely. Definitely. And it's such a powerful show on so many levels. Just a few more questions, Shohreh.
So,
The first one, have you got any other books planned? Because I know that you've got your memoirs, and I know that you was working on working against the odds. If I remember rightly, you
yes.
mentioning that in an interview a while ago. Are you got any more books coming out at all? Because I have ordered your memoir, and I'm going to read it front to back, and I cannot wait. But yeah,
Um,
have you got any more
you have
planned?
such a good memory. You have such a good memory, Brian. How on earth could you remember working against odds? Oh my God. You're amazing. You're right. Yes, I'm still working on it. That's a sequel to my memoir, but it's not like a memoir. It's most like a, say, documentation of an artist's life here and there. Chapters are not necessarily connected, but
Mm,
it's like a Marquez style, going back and forth in
mm,
one's life and find out the moments or the sequences that could be useful to the others. For example, if I visited south of France and I loved it and I had a great time. It's not going to help my readers. I want to do something that could be useful, say something that could be useful.
Well, I don't know. It could go into like a travel guide, your favourite spots and your favourite places to go and visit. So I look forward to keeping a track of that and obviously getting that book when it comes out. One last thing, I'm a massive Ghostbusters fan. I really am. And you did the voice of Goza.
Yes.
Would you do me one favour and just say, Brian, are you a god? Because that would make my day.
Okay, let's do it. And actually, there are 2 sentences. Hold on. Brian, are you a god? Are you prepared to die?
That is it. I have literally died and gone to heaven. I really have. But Shohreh, it's been absolutely such a pleasure. And I just think all the work that you've done from The House of Sand and Fog to 24, which I'm one of the biggest fans of, I just think you're wonderful and you're just magnetic on screen. You literally cannot take your eyes off you. And I can listen to you all day. So please keep safe, keep working hard. And I'm going to enjoy everything that you release in the future. And I can't wait to read your book once it's out.